Haya Yahweh. When we do a Thanksgiving address, it's a part of our culture, our spirituality as Ongohongwe people, that when we bring our minds together, it's bringing them together in a way that we're making ourselves as present as possible. When we are doing it traditionally in the fullest form, it would take me about 45 minutes in the language. That's just the basic foundation of a Thanksgiving address. Follow the light.
Emily Pauline Johnson was born in 1861. She passed away in 1913. She was resilient, and she stepped out of her comfort zone in two ways, in my opinion. One, because of her gender. Females at the time weren't women in the workplace, and they really didn't have a voice no matter what race they came from. Women had an oppressed role. But here was Pauline, who at the age of 23, after her father had passed away, traveled on the railway across Canada many, many times to share her beautiful poems. What a journey for someone to reach out of their comfort level to do that. Why? She was earning an income for her recently widowed mother. This museum that we see here, which is acting as a museum today, was the homestead of Pauline's family. But when her father passed away, her mother and siblings rented a place in Brantford, and they lived off of renting out the museum, plus the income that she could provide to them through her work on the stage. I found that very, very incredible, not only for today, but given back in the time that she traveled. Just a real, resilient and powerful woman through her words. She was of the Mohawk Nation, but she did not have a clan. Her mother was not of Native ancestry. She did not have a clan, but her father was of the Mohawk Nation. Eleanor Stotts was another lady who was very, very resilient. And she was born in 1933. She lived until her 90th year and just passed away a few weeks ago. But she was a person who, when she was very, very small, was stricken with tuberculosis. And so the only formal education she had was when she was a small girl and she was fighting tuberculosis, and her schooling was at the hospital, the sanatorium where she was being cared for. When she got well again and she came back to the Six Nations Reserve, there were no buses for her, and her school was too far away for her to walk as a small child. And so her formal education halted there. But Eleanor was a person who was very self-taught. She taught herself to read and write beyond what she had in those sanatorium teachings. And up until her late 80s, she was still penning her poetry. I find that very powerful and very resilient. I find it a real honor to share in her memory her words today. Thank you.
The bird's lullaby. Sing to us, cedars, the twilight is creeping, with shadowy garments the wilderness through. All day we have caroled, and now would be sleeping. So echo the anthems we warble to you, while we swing, swing, and your branches sing. And we drowse to your dreamy whispering. Sing to us, cedars, the night wind is sighing, is wooing, is pleading to hear you reply. And here in your arms we are restfully lying and longing to dream your soft lullaby, while we swing, swing, and your branches sing. And we drowse to your dreamy whispering, sing to us cedars, your voice is so lowly, your breathing so fragrant, your branches so strong, our little nest cradles are swaying so slowly, while zephyrs are breathing their slumberous song, and we swing, swing, while your branches sing, and we drowse to your dreamy whispering.
Many natives had venturous trips on the river with their cedar canoe. A brave warrior sailing onward towards sunset, no boundaries seen at the time. The flowing gentle waters sing. The cooling air above is pleasing. But in present millennium, a native canoe sees boundaries. Where water dams reside and bridges, only where there's open spaces a kilometer long maybe, there are people seen on sailboats or in some paddling a canoe. On native treaty rights, they were trustworthy and held with respect by native people. Even when seen, a cedar canoe drifting by native lands knew it had treaty rights too. But at present time, treaties get a bit tired, back and forth, in many silent hands, and more to follow. But there's always a cedar canoe to answer to when native people agreed our treaties with meaningful signatures can and will be refreshed by a canoe ride on the river. It calms a tired spirit. There is, native treaties have comfort within, a canoe with no steering guide at its helm, no helpful spirited paddle to depend upon, for they aren't called forth by chiefs. On the Grand River, flowing spirited in unity with an honorable canoe. By this relaxing ride, these treaties, spirit-wise, rise higher than our blue sky above. A smooth sailing on this grand chief of all, the Grand River.
And the song that you heard me sing here today is a song that we would use for a social gathering when we have visitors. And this is called the friendship dance. So this is what we use when we're welcoming our friends. So welcome each and every one of you. Yahweh. Now, I was asked to share a second song. The second song is a song that we call a round dance. A round dance, again, is a social gathering song. We use our social gatherings as a way of not just bringing our minds together, but uplifting our minds. For that certainly is an element that in today's society, this doesn't really happen to the same extent when you can send a mass text or email or messenger. The visiting just isn't there. But we try to keep some of that core principles alive and those core values of making sure that we're checking in with our neighbor, that you take the time to go and sit and have coffee, to visit with one another, that you're informed of one another. You're still very much connected in a way that if someone falls, there's someone there to help pick you up, and vice versa. So with these visitings, when we come together, we bring our families together, and we use these types of songs where we do social gatherings for rejoicing, uplifting minds, sometimes in celebration if there's a traditional wedding. Sometimes if it's a fundraiser and someone's raising some funds for a family in need or a gathering. So with that, we use these social gathering songs, and this song here is called the round dance, and we would use this after we've formed our minds together as one, and we want to symbolize that circle that we talked about in all different forms of what the circle can mean to you. It's not only the shape of our mother, but it's also signifying of the womb of our mother that we all come from. And we also, when we dance in a circle like so, it would be done. I wish we had more help here for singing and dancing. We could include everybody in it. Maybe we can do that in the future. But when we dance, we would dance hand in hand, linked in arm, and it's 1 foot in, 1 foot out, and we go all the way around. And that's bringing that circle together. And the circle, like we said up with the Thanksgiving address, talking about when new life comes to this world and when life leaves this world. circle is a very sacred significance for us when it comes to our culture. So with that, this is the round dance. Hi-yo, 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 goya, hi-ya, goya, hi-ya, Yahweh. Hi-yo, 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 goya, hi-ya, goya, hi-ya, Yahweh. Hi-yo, 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 goya, hi-ya, goya, hi-ya, Yahweh. Hi-yo, 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 goya, hi-ya, goya, hi-ya, Yahweh. Hi-yo, Yahweh-no, 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 hi-ya. Hi-yo, Yahweh-no, 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 hi-ya. Yahweh-no, 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 hi-ya. Yo-ha, goya, hi-ya, goya, hi-ya, Yahweh. Yahweh-no, 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 hi-ya. Yahweh-no, 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 hi-ya. Hi-yo, hi-ya, goya, hi-ya, goya, hi-ya, Yahweh. Hi-yo, Yahweh-no, hi-yo, Yahweh-no, 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 hi-ya. Yahweh-no, 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 hi-ya. Hi-yo, hi-ya, goya, hi-ya, goya, hi-ya, Yahweh. Yahweh-no, 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 hi-ya. Yahweh-no, 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 hi-ya. Yo, hi-ya, goya, hi-ya, goya, hi-ya, Yahweh. Thank you. Yeah, thank you guys. But we're not off the hook that fast. So if everyone can just form a line behind me. And this dance is a 2-footed shuffle. Nothing fancy. Don't worry, no spraining ankles. Just a back and forth, okay? And it's follow the leader. And this is called a stomp dance. Ha-weh, ha-ya-de, weh, ha-he, ha-yo-de. Ha-weh, ha-ya-de, ha-weh, ha-he, ha-yo-de. Ha-weh, ha-yo-ne, ha-weh, ha-yo-ne, ha-weh, ha-yo-ne, ha-weh, ha-yo-ne. We go, we ha, we go, we ha, we go, we ha, we yo, ha, 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 we ha, yo, yo, we ne, 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 we we ha, gaya wa no ya, 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 gaya wa no ya. Oh we hey yana hey, 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 oh we hey yana hey. Gane ho we yo we ha gane ho we yo we ha gane ho we ha gane ho we ha. Woo! Wee! Thank you, everyone.
Scano everyone, my name is Sarah General and I belong to the Mohawk Nation and the Turtle Clan. I was born and raised here at Six Nations, have lived here all of my life and have gone to a lot of different schools over the course of my journey. And along my journey and my pathway of learning, I really recognize how important it was for us to have stories and resources for our future generations that really reinforce for them who they were and what their inherent responsibilities were and how important those were and how those could guide them through their life. I'm also a writer and a storyteller and have always wanted to do bookmaking, and just over the last 10 years or so I feel like all of these things came together in a really amazing way, and I'm very grateful to be doing the work I do both with Tanis at Six Nations Polytechnic and the Deohahage Indigenous Knowledge Center, but also really grateful to do my writing and my artwork, because definitely for me, storytelling and creative work fuels everything else I do as a parent, as an academic, as a researcher, as an educator. So I'm really excited to be here, and I'm going to be sharing just 2 of my shorter children's books that I wrote. I do write across all genres and across all age groups. I write poetry and I write stories inspired by different people in our history, and I write speculative fiction and just a lot of different books. But in honor of Treaty Week, I'm going to be sharing 2 stories that I wrote to help kind of introduce really young readers to just treaties and the inherent rights and the responsibilities and all of the different ways that we're connected in the relationships that we have. So this first book is very, very short. It's called Treaty Baby, and it's meant to have books that you can read to your babies. Treaty Baby by Sarah General and illustrated by my sister, who is my artistic partner in, not crime, but you know, the crime of educating. Treaty babies love to tell stories. Treaty babies love to hunt and fish. That's my baby. Treaty babies love the waters. Treaty babies watch the sunrise. Treaty babies pound corn. Treaty babies love the thunderers. Treaty babies pick berries. Treaty babies give thanks. Treaty babies know their rights. So that's our first story, and it's just sort of, it touches out to different elements of the Thanksgiving address, and it has different imagery around different wampum belts that are important, and we hope to kind of keep building on these stories. So this is obviously meant to be read to a very, very small child, and we use it in a lot of different ways. And the second book I'm going to share is the next one in the Treaty Baby series, and it's called We Give Our Thanks. We have legends to tell and wisdoms to share, stories as old as the wind in the air. We know how to hunt and we know how to fish. We know that one spoon shares the fruit of one dish. We know that the trees help us to thrive. Their spirits are rich and awake and alive. And when it is time for rain and for showers, we honor the thunder's magnificent powers. The wind, the stars, the moon, the sun, the feeling we get when the music's begun. And we dance across earth, the great turtle, our home, and sing and take joy in songs of our own. We call out to rivers and mountains and sky, to spirit and life on the ground and up high. It is for them we remember, for them we show care, for them that we strive to be kind and aware. And these are the teachings we pass on through time, thanking every and all these sustainers of life. Yeah, for listening.
What I have here is one of our oldest wampums. We call it the Friendship Belt. And if you take a look at this beautiful wampum, it's actually a promise that we have to ourselves as Haudenosaunee people, that we would be friends with our allies and that we are connected by our hearts. We'll take these in a little bit later. You can see them up a little bit closer. But that is a promise that we can each keep within ourselves, a treaty that we can keep within ourselves, or a promise that we can keep within ourselves, that we do have the ability to strike up a friendship and to maintain a friendship. And what a beautiful place we can have on this earth if we have that.
Somehow this connection between dragonflies and that river. So we talked about it with a couple of artists, and they said, well, why don't we build a dragonfly? And then they said, well, why don't we build two? So this one will live here for a little bit. The dragonflies go up and down the river and stop in at places to have people add to it. We can add material to this, so this becomes an archive for the entire project.